You're listening to SM Media, the number one place for exclusive content.
Hi everyone, welcome to this week's episode of the Scottish Football Show right here on SM Media. We're doing a special bonus show this Wednesday. We're recording right after the 3 o'clock games have just finished. Joined by Wilson, as always. Thanks for coming on.
No problem, Scott. Thanks for having us again.
No worries. Shankers is here as well. Something.
Happy to be here, as always.
Brilliant. We're joined again by Aaron Connolly from the Cynic Podcast. How we doing, mate? You all right?
Good, mate. Thanks for having me back. Pleasure.
We'll get into the results straight away. Celtic won 3-0 against D United. Sorrow, Tumble and Edward with the goals. Rangers kept their winning run going, a 2-0 win with Roof and Morelos getting the goals. And we made sure we had Wilson watch the St Johnstone Hamilton game. We gave him that. St Johnstone 0, Hamilton 0. Were you surprised at that result, Wilson?
Absolutely. Two worst teams in British football. The SPL should be looking to relegate both those teams just now to save any further games.
Right, is that the relegation battle then? Is that
well, as I said, it is for me, to be honest. As I say again, and I've said it umpteen times, I look at St Johnstone's squad and I think they've actually got some decent players, but the more and more guys come to the end of their careers, you know, good players like Bryson and Conway, and I think O'Halloran's still suspended, a good player as well. But
no, he come on today.
He come on, did he? That tells you how interested I was watching it, to be honest.
Did you not watch it to the end of the game?
No,
come on in 86 minutes. Did you turn it off?
To be fair, I painted one of the walls in the living room, so I was watching the paint and between kicks out the park and throw-ins. So if the SPL are watching this, just relegate both those teams just now, please.
Brilliant. But well, Livingston Aberdeen's been called off. I was recording before the Hibs, Ross County, Motherwell, Kilmarnock games have taken place. It'll probably go out after that, so we'll obviously not get into them. Aaron, Celtic won 3-0. Were you impressed with how they played? Obviously, Sorrow, Tumble, Edward got the goals, but how good were they?
Good first half. They were decent first half. Created a lot more chances than we have done previously this season. 2 really good goals from Sorrow and Tumble, and then a great finish for Edward. Still cracks there. Probably should have gave away a penalty, in fairness. I think Beaton comes across McNulty. I think it's a penalty. Dundee United had 2 or 3 other chances on the break, just with one ball over the top. So still definitely cracks there for Celtic. Not going to sit here and paint a picture that's all rosy, but much better than where we were, 6 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, Julian picked up a bad injury as well. It didn't look good for what I saw of it. So, how big a miss will he be on Saturday?
Big man was running in treacle, I think, trying to get back, man. Honestly, so slow getting back in, and then he does really well to clear it. Brave of him, to be fair, because I think he knows he's going to collide with the post probably. Doesn't look too clever. I think he will be a big miss. Not because of how good he has been or anything like that, but just because who we need to bring in now. You're looking at probably Beaton or Duffy playing centre half, and I don't feel overly comfortable with either of them going to Ibrox.
Right, okay, we'll move on to the Rangers game. We'll preview the Old Firm game later on, but Shankers, Rangers got another 2-0 win, a really good result. Wasn't the best performance, I didn't think, but Roof and Morelos with the goals. Morelos come back into the team and got a goal. What was your kind of takeaways for the game?
As you said, it wasn't pretty. It wasn't free-flowing football that Rangers are used to. Easy for me to say, but they got the win. And then at the end of the day, that's all they're kind of looking for. 9 points out of those 3 games before the Old Firm. That's all they're looking for. Morelos got minutes under his belt. Looks as if he's going to be playing on Saturday. Just kind of good to get that one kind of ticked off, as they say, and there'll be all eyes for Saturday now.
Mm-hmm. Wilson, what was your kind of takeaways for the 2 results?
I think they're doing what they need to do, especially Rangers. They just need to keep winning. Folks say our performances have dipped. I don't think Gerrard or any of the Rangers players or fans will care if performances have dipped. They've won the game. As I said, they've definitely got momentum. As I say, we'll touch on obviously the preview for Saturday, but Celtic appear to be doing well as well, just grinding out results, beating what's in front of you. That all comes to a head on Saturday. But as I say, I was quite surprised that both teams had won all their games up until this this game next week, or at the end of this week.
Yeah, let's get into Saturday. Let's just preview the Old Firm. Will Celtic go to Ibrox? And Aaron, is it fair to say that this is, obviously we know it's one or bust for Celtic, but what happens if Celtic don't win?
I think the phrase is Timplosion, innit? If Celtic don't win, it's over. It's 100% over. There's a line of thinking in the Celtic support, I know, that just don't lose the game. For me, that's not enough. That doesn't disrupt Rangers' rhythm enough, doesn't disrupt Rangers' momentum enough to just go there and draw. I can understand that line of thinking, and I'm not asking Celtic to go gung-ho to win the game, but I think realistically we need to win. Otherwise, we're looking at 5 months of the season with just a title procession for Rangers, and I don't think any Celtic fan wants to live through that.
And obviously today was a kind of, and I spoke to a couple of Celtic fans just there before we come on, and I asked them, I said, do you think that's the team that will line up? And they all said, the main question I had was do you play Sorrow instead of Brown? I watched that today and I thought, I don't know how you can play Sorrow, because I think he's just been a revelation since he's come into the team.
It has been. I've been saying it for weeks. You know, I sort of jokingly started championing him on Twitter when he had a good 6 minutes against Milan. But after that, when he did come in against Lille, and every week since, he's just got, he's just changed the dynamic of the team. He's not a fantastic football player. Well, I'm not going to kid on. He's one of the best midfielders in the country or anything like that. But what he does is he changes the dynamic for us. He's got legs in there. He covers the ground really well, something that we've missed. Brown hasn't done that this season. And he passes the ball forward a lot better than what we've done. So we get up the park quicker. We get the ball into Edouard and Griffiths quicker than we previously were. So he's just changed that dynamic a wee bit, and he gives that extra bit of cover to us. I don't think there's any coincidence we've started conceding less goals since he came into the team. I think he plays a massive part in that. He's got to play for me. I understand, Brown is probably a legend at Celtic. He's, been there 12, 13 years, hundreds upon hundreds of appearances. Some really great performances in his time at Ibrox and things like that, but he's just been miles off it all season. I think he did half decent 45 minutes against Hearts, and people might point to that and say, well, he's still got it in the locker, but it's got to be Sorrow for me.
Wilson, what do you think about how Celtic will line up?
Well, I think obviously if the injury to Julian's as bad as it looks, then it might mean a wee bit of a reshuffle in terms of personnel. I genuinely don't think for a minute. I think Sorrow played today because Brown's playing on Saturday. To be honest, I cannot see Neil Lennon going to Ibrox without playing Scott Brown. Now, 100% agree with Aaron. From what I've seen, Sorrow looks good, and I could understand possibly Neil Lennon's thinking if there was a capacity crowd inside Ibrox, but with no crowd, it will be for both sets of players obviously very different. So therefore, I would probably throw Sorrow in, but I just can't see it for 1 minute that Scott Brown doesn't captain Celtic on Saturday.
Shankers, from a Rangers perspective, what do Rangers need to do?
Just keep playing the way they're playing. The way they've played at the start, and it's not even the start of the season, the way that they've been set up for the last few seasons, like it's as if that's it. It's just coming into play now, and it's just kind of clicked. The way they're just well drilled. When somebody goes out of position, somebody fills in. I seen it in a few occasions today when Aribo ended up out wide and it breaks down, and then Roof's coming back in, tucking in. They just kind of as if they know their job. They're well organised, well drilled, and it's difficult going away to places like St Mirren and that. The pitch isn't as big, you don't get to open it up. I seen something different today for Rangers. St Mirren, actually, they were kind of letting St Mirren, I don't know if it was a tactic or whatever, they let St Mirren have a wee bit of the ball at times, and I don't know if they've done that because they went there and tried to control the game the other week there and it didn't work. So I don't know if they've let them have it and then Rangers got 2 goals on the break. I don't know if that was a tactic just for that game or whatever, but I think on Saturday they'll be looking to try and get a foothold, get the ball down, try and control it. If they'll be looking, they got an early goal the last time and then almost controlled the game at Parkhead. I don't think that'll happen this Saturday. I think Celtic will kind of try and come out the traps flying. If they set up the team with the 2 strikers, well, they'll be looking to kind of go for it. But I can't see Celtic going and playing the tight midfield to Diamond. I just don't see how that suits that type of game with the way Rangers fullbacks and that. kind of bomb up and down the pitch. I just can't see how that would work, leaving them that space to go forward. But a team like Celtic going into an Old Firm, surely you roughly play the kind of the team and the style of play, the formation that you're going to play on Saturday. So he's played that the last 2 games. So I don't see why you would just then go and change it. Because if he changes it and it doesn't work, then it all falls back on him. Why did you go with that team tonight? So it's a tough one. I'm interested. I know I can basically you can roughly guide no Rangers is 11, but it's with El Yunusi, Duffy, Brown on the bench today. I think they 3 will come back in. Duffy probably because of the injury, but I think Brown and El Yunusi will come in for probably Soro and Griffiths.
And with these kind of thing, like obviously, like Wilson and Aaron can kind of jump in and basically say that. But do you have worries about Celtic playing the diamond?
Yes and no. I actually wonder if he'll play. I mean, I think it'll be Brown, McGregor, and Turnbull will be the 3, I would imagine, to pick up. Say it's Kamara, Davis, and Aribo. I think that would probably be Rangers state. Jack and Arfield definitely out.
It looks like it. Arfield's not confirmed, but I think it is.
To accommodate, Griffiths and Edward. I mean, Aaron will be able to answer it better than me. Would they give somebody like Ryan Christie a complete free role?
I would think Turnbull would get that over Christie. I think Christie's more industrious than Turnbull is in terms of going back the way. So I think if it's going to be anyone, Turnbull will get that free role. But then there's also, you need to consider, Griffiths, as great as he is, he's not great defensively. He doesn't cut off passing lanes. He doesn't really press well from the front. He does a lot of running and he does a lot of work, but, a lot of it is just chasing the ball for chasing the ball's sake. So there's so many considerations with the diamond. I think if he goes diamond, then it shows that Neil Lennon is going win or bust on Saturday. I think if he's a bit more conservative, then he's sort of seen it as, look, we go and try and get a result, but, if we draw, he'll be comfortable with a draw at that point. If he goes the diamond, which looking at today and looking at the last 3 games, I think he probably will now, then I think it shows that he knows Celtic need to go and win. Obviously, it opens us up. It does. We give up the wide areas and stuff. But there's a school of thought, Celtic go and nick an early goal and put Rangers under pressure, then you never know as well. I think we said it the other day, Shankers said it, form can go out the window in games like this. It's all about who starts well. We've seen it last year at Ibrox. Edward done that fucking now famous kick at ball into a corner, just squeezed Rangers in. And then Celtic, didn't dominate the game, but were fairly comfortable the rest of the game, got 2 goals on the counter. So it'll be really interesting, and it will be interesting because we probably know what Rangers are going to do. As Shankers has said, we know exactly how they play. We know roughly how they line up now, especially with Jack and Arfield being out. So it's interesting now to see how Celtic try and combat that, because the last 3 games, we've been miles off it. Even when we won the League Cup, we were terrible. So it'll be interesting to see if the diamond is the way that he thinks is going to counter it now, because obviously previously he thought it was going to be 3-5-2 and that didn't work.
So Shankers as well, like obviously Morelos come back into the team today, kind of replace Kent. Do we think Kent's going to come back in and Morelos will join him? Who kind of drops out? Do you think there? Do you think Hadji maybe drops out?
I think Hadji doesn't play, and it's Roof, Morelos, and Kent. I think that's the team, but he took Hadji off with maybe 15-20 to go. So then that says to me he's taking them off to keep him for the weekend. So I don't know. He brought Kent on for a wee bit, so he's getting him a few minutes before the weekend. I think the team picks, it's everything apart from Kent and Hadji. I don't know what one will play. I don't know if Gerrard's got the balls to drop Kent in a game like that, because he knows what he can do, if you know what I mean. He's not done it up till now, but he knows that he's one of the players that on his day he can win your game. So I don't know, that's probably the only one for me whether Hadji plays or not.
Will it be Helander over Balogun again?
Yeah, I think it will.
Aye.
Looks like
I think so. Which if they play a 2, it kind of worries me with the pace of the strikers and behind him. Do they target him or what? I don't know. I think Celtic could go with the team that they played in the cup final. See with Christie off and El Yunusi off the left, with and Brown back in the team. Brown, Turnbull, McGregor in the middle. I think that could be the team.
Right, I'm just going to ask you before we move on. Obviously, the big thing is where's the game going to be won and lost? Do you think? I'll start with Wilson.
I think it's a very tough one. I think the game will be won and lost by Bobby Madden's decision making. I feel, and I've put a wee bit of, I've said a few things about the past coming into Old Firm games, but I think we'll all agree that it has been a while since an Old Firm game's been decided by a referee in a crucial decision. I don't think there's been any absolute shockers in the recent past that's led to it. I mean, I know Douglas Ross was very keen in sending Simonovic off from the minute the pass was played. Red card, the teams weren't even out the tunnel.
I forgot he gets sent off that game when I watched it back in one of the Sky.
Come on, Mark. It was a Rangers home game at Ibrox, so of course there was an opposition player sent off. Why would it not be? So I'm coming down to a refereeing shambles, I'm going to call it, on Sunday that hands Rangers a
Saturday
victory. No, as I say, my only, and I'm going to go back, touch on this before I give my score prediction. I think the only negative possibly for Rangers is he really only seems to rotate one of the strikers and one of the centre backs. The Rangers look tired. Now, I know momentum and adrenaline would get you through an Old Firm game. I want to play in the same team all the time because the games just seem to be coming thick and fast.
Yeah.
And I just wonder, is Tavernier due a bad game? Can Stephen Davis play 3 games in a week? Golson seems to play every minute of every game.
Well, that was my thinking tonight. I thought doing 2 takeaways. I thought he took Tavernier off after 88 minutes. I didn't understand why not take him off 20 minutes before that and give him a proper kind of 20 minutes. And Davis, you do always have that worry with Davis. I imagine Aaron will have with Brown. Is it too much for a player of that age to play 3 games a week?
I mean, it shouldn't be. These guys are paid to be fit, etc., etc. It shouldn't be. And I saw Mark on Twitter this week saying to somebody, we used to play Saturday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, Thursday, at the end of the season for Talbot, and that's
going to be worse.
That's very true. So, as I say, that's the only negative I can see at the moment in the Rangers team. And I've said before, I said last week when Aaron was on as well, if Rangers win this game, Scottish football season's over. Can
you remember so much at stake in an Old Firm so early on in the season? Because it's like, what is it, halfway point almost, or just over it?
Well, that's a good point. I spoke to my dad this morning, and he said,
so much at stake for this game for this time of the season. It's not as if it's the last Old Firm in the split or something like that, where then they've got 3 games to go and it's all tight. Like, it is. There's a lot at stake for the stage of the season.
I don't think there is. I think Rangers can afford to lose and they'll still cruise the league.
My dad made a point this morning. This is the first time in 10 years that Rangers have had a chance to fully kind of kill Celtic off in a way, and fully put Celtic to get Celtic have now not been in this position for 10 years where they're going to a place knowing if they don't win, then their dream's over. It's not officially, but it's not far away. So I think there is that side to it. But my point with the whole thing is, do you see if Shankers, see Rangers, do you take a draw?
Oh, bite your honor. Rangers would never go into a game at Ibrox in this magnitude. You can't play for a draw because it's just a negative mindset straight away. But it suits Rangers far better than Celtic because then they've not gained any points on us or anything like that, if you know what I mean. But I don't think Celtic can go. They don't want to get beat first and foremost, but a draw doesn't do them any more favours than Rangers. So they do need to win. But I can't think about a draw. None of the teams will have that mentality because the type of the teams they are. You know what I mean? As I said, there is so much at stake that both teams Celtic need to win more than Rangers, but both teams kind of need to win for their own reasons, if you know what I mean.
As I say, that's my biggest worry as such. From a neutral's perspective, if Rangers... There's just a damp squib on Scottish football. Rangers have won the league. That's it. Nobody really cares now. I don't think about top 6. 11th or 12th. and all attention turns to a relegation battle. You know, I do think if Rangers win, I think there'll be changes at Celtic. I think they'll let the manager go and get somebody in to see how it goes for the next few months. I don't think a manager out there capable of being able to bring it back. You know, because would that go to 19 points if Rangers won?
Yeah, 19 with 3 games in hand.
In effect, if Celtic managed to claw back the games in hand, it would be 10 points.
Yeah.
I mean, I think 16 points is too much, or 7 points too much, to be honest. But it's with the way Rangers are playing. It's not to say Celtic can't. I just think the Rangers is a juggernaut at the moment, and they may hit a sticky patch, but a sticky patch could be, drawn at Easter Road and drawn at Aberdeen. I can't see any other team in the SPL beating them.
Yeah, January, if Rangers win, it'll be an interesting January, because I think somebody said to me, they go to Hibs, go to Aberdeen and go to Motherwell in the space of a month. That's a massive 3 games for Rangers. That's what I'm saying.
If Celtic win, think
it becomes
of
a different day.
Interest and the more interest of how many folk watch those games. For example, if Rangers win and it's live on whatever channel that Rangers have, I'll not be bothered. The league's over. What's the point?
But do you really believe the league's over though after Rangers that last 2 seasons? After Rangers have come back after Christmas?
See with the fixtures that the Rangers have after the Old Firm, as I say, the Old Firm will take care of itself. I win or lose, but they three fixtures, especially Hibs, Aberdeen, Motherwell away, they're massive, because it'll be in Rangers' heads at this time of the year. This time in the last couple of seasons, it's totally went pear-shaped. So it'll be in their head whether win, lose or draw, like they still need to win those 3 games regardless. If Celtic beat Rangers on Saturday, they claw 3 points, but it totally changes. They need to go into the games knowing they need to win them anyway, but it's in their heads because the last couple of years. So it's definitely, from my point of view, it's definitely no over.
I'm quite sure with the pressure, Derek McInnes will look after his former employer, don't you worry about that.
Aaron, how important is Odsonne Edouard on Saturday? Well, obviously he's come back into a bit of form the past couple of games. He's a definition of a big name player. How important is he going to be on Saturday?
He's absolutely massive. We've seen before Rangers don't deal with him particularly well. Now, you've seen it in the League Cup final. He was less than half fit, but as soon as he came on, Goldson panics and makes a stupid foul on him. We've seen him score goals in games. Obviously, he wasn't fit in October, so he's not played. So he's huge for us, and he would have been huge if he wasn't in great form, because he's always got that bit where you think he can turn up on a big day. But today he's scored a brilliant goal today. Probably should have another 2 or 3, but he's getting into positions now. He's getting chances. He's not finishing as well as we would expect from Edouard, but he's massive. We talk about psychology and stuff in football. See, he's a Rangers centre-half. You look at Celtic team and you see Odsonne Edouard scored 3 or 4 games in the bounce now, and he's coming into it in a bit of form. It changes your mindset of how you go into the game. Connor Goldson will be thinking, I don't want to play against him today. Because he's given a torrid time before. So he's huge for us, and it's nice that he's got a bit of form. Today's the first time he scored an open play in the league since the first day of the season, which is...
I've seen that. I heard that last week. That's mental.
But when you look at the chances he missed last week, and he missed a couple today, and then see the way he goes and lobs a goal for the finish, it just shows his quality. So he's huge for us on Saturday. And I think, again, as I said, we've seen it before. Rangers will change the Rangers centre-half pairing's thoughts in the game, knowing that he's coming into it in a bit of form.
Right, let's go. Let's make a predictions. I'll start with Shankers.
True.
I'll go to the neutral last.
I think it'll be a 2-1 home win.
Aaron?
2-1 away win.
I'm gonna go. I think this could be a massive game for Rangers. I think Rangers will stake a claim here. I'm gonna go 3-1 Rangers. Wilson closes out.
4-0 Rangers. 2 penalties and 2 red cards for Celtic. Bobby Madden with the other goals.
It's an exciting game, and we'll be back on Sunday to talk about it and review the game. We'll move on to Aaron. Thanks very much for joining us the past couple of episodes. It's been really enjoyable. I just want to ask you a couple of things as well. Like, obviously you've been on the Cynic the Celtic podcast for a few months. But how good's that been for you, and what do you kind of do on there?
I love it, mate. Obviously, you know, I love football, love talking about it, love watching it. What the boys and girls do at the Cynic is incredible. You know, I'm all for fan media. We all moan about the mainstream media and their biased coverage and all that. So I love listening to fan media. I'm sure you boys are the same. You know, it's much more interesting to me. So I'd been listening to the Cynic for a long time. So I started engaging with them. I'd done a bit of writing for them a couple of years ago. So to get the opportunity to go on and talk about Celtic, and talk about any football is a privilege, but to go on and talk about Celtic's a real privilege. Now, Cynic's a bit of a different level to most fan media in that, you know, you're getting 2 or 3 you're getting a podcast or 2 every single day. You know, the guy who runs it and his wife are both full time now doing it. So the content they're putting out is, you know, it's unrivaled really in the Celtic fan media space, in my opinion anyway, which is probably slightly biased. But doing things like tactical analysis and stuff like that, things that I would never have thought I was going to do, you know, sitting watching players at all hours of the night, try to figure out if they're good. You know, when Celtic are linked with a player, the guys will ask us, go have a look at them, come up with scouting reports. It's all really formal, it's all really interesting. As I say, it gives me the opportunity to talk about football, which I love doing. So it's great. I think, you know, we get loads of people listening, loads of people connecting with me on Twitter, wanting to speak to me. Anytime I tweet about Celtic, people replying, want to speak to me. So it's nice that you have that opportunity. It takes up a lot of my time, but I love doing it. Like the other night, I was sitting watching 4 Rangers games in the bounds because we're recording tonight just about how Celtic can maybe exploit Rangers. So it's just interesting, mate. I love football, and it gives me the opportunity to watch more of it.
Brilliant. Time to tackle as well. Talk to us a bit about what kind of made you come up with that and what it kind of involves and how much you're enjoying doing that.
So obviously, you know, I've had well documented issues with mental health, you know, pretty much my full adult life. Spoken about it, you know, continually, the challenges I've had and everything that I've faced, and sort of well documented. I went into hospital last year after a suicide attempt. Ended up spending over a month in hospital. Obviously played football my full life, been in the juniors now for about nine years or something. Sort of been all over the place, a little bit of a medal, Glenafton, up at St Roch's now, played for the East for a wee bit as well. So I've always known that football was an escape for me. When I wasn't feeling good, you know, I always went to training. I was always at football, always gave me a place where I could sort of be myself a wee bit. I could forget about all the worries I'd had in life. So the hospital admission came when I was at Med at the time, and I'd stopped going to training and stuff. I just didn't. I fell out of love with it a wee bit, to be honest. I'd had a bad injury and I was out for a year, and when I came back, went really well, and I had another injury, and I just got a bit of head loss, to be honest. This has happened many times in my career, but obviously with the mental health stuff, it really took a grip on me, took a grip on my whole life. I ended up suicidal, you know, on the brink. I won't go into too much detail, but eventually spent a month in hospital. And when I came out, you know, a lot's changed in that time. A lot's changed for me, a lot's changed for my family and the people around me. But I said to my wife Siobhan on coming out of hospital, you know, I wanted to do something for people because I had no real support, or there wasn't something that I could go to. You know, you can't go into a football change room and talk about it. Shankers will tell you, you know, boys will support you and stuff, but you'll also get a fair ribbon for it. You know, you get the piss taken out of you, and whether that's right or wrong, I'm not going to judge people for it. But there's also the worry. I've had managers in the past no sign me because they've heard, oh, you know, sometimes he goes through phases where he puts on weight and stuff, and that's all because I'm maybe not feeling good. You know, I'll train less and stuff. So it definitely impacts my football career and has done. So I wanted to create something that would give people a support, but we wanted to use football to do that. And the best way to do that was to just play fives, pretty much. So we get people together playing 5-a-sides, but we don't keep scoring or anything like that. We don't care about your ability. We don't care if you've ever played football before. You know, we want you just to come and play for enjoyment's sake, play with a smile. It's the most beautiful sport in the world, and we want you to come and enjoy it. And then after that, we'll get in a room and invite you to have the chance to chat. And most people who come will have heard my story. You know, I speak very openly about it. I have done for a while now. So they can come and chat to me. I can tell them a bit about my experiences. We can try and help them on the right path. My wife's a nurse in A&E, so she's got a real good medical background that can help as well. So we're just trying to help people, just try to give them a wee escape in life. You know, everyone needs it. There's a misconception that we're only interested in people who are suffering with mental health, but the reality is we all get stressed at times. You know, we all work full time, a lot of us kids, you know, and I fall with my wife constantly, all that sort of stuff. You know, we can be there to help you with that. So it's just encouraging people to come in, access a community, get that camaraderie, create friendships, and at the same time you can get support doing so. So we launched it in October 2019, started in Glasgow, took a group to Edinburgh. We've got 14 groups coming, some in partnership with clubs and stuff like that. There's loads happening. We're going to hopefully be all over the country in the next year or so, COVID permitting. But that's pretty much sums up what we're trying to do.
Brilliant. Really admire what you're doing and keep it up. It's really good to see. Obviously, you're using a negative, turn that into a positive, so it's really good.
I'm sure the three of us could help if you were branching out down Ayrshire way.
Yeah, definitely.
Anything we could help with or get involved with, then we'd be happy to help.
Absolutely. It's obviously something we're looking at. Obviously, I played a lot of my career in Ayrshire, coming through to United as a kid. Played in the first team there, then obviously Glenafton, Meadow, Hurlford. So it's something that I'm looking at personally. I stay Newton Mearns, so I'm 15 minutes for Ayrshire as well. So it's definitely an area where we want to take it to long term.
Brilliant. Right, we've got a few fan questions I just want to ask. I'll start with Wilson. Regan Stevenson's asked a few, so I'll give you the first one. After scoring today, is Saturday the moment Alfredo Morelos breaks his duck against Celtic?
Well, Regan, I think you might be right, because I think Rangers will score a few goals on Saturday, and I think it's about time, because as I say, I think Rangers have benefited more than most for the lack of crowds in at the games. So I think so, yes. I think it's coming.
No,
Although I have said that for the last 11 Old Firm games, I'm not going to lie, but I think Saturday could be the one.
I agree. You want to come in, Shankers, on that?
I think the way he plays now compared to a couple of years ago is probably actually gives him even less chance of playing, because he comes off. See the day, I was watching it with Uncle, and we were like, see his play when he gets the ball, taking it in, laying it off, and that he's bringing himself out the game to give like Roof and well, it was Hadji or Kent. He's bringing them and he's dragging defenders out of positions, and Roof's finding space in behind. So I think the way, I don't know if he's been told to play a game like this or he's changed it himself, but the way he plays it now doesn't suit the goal scoring that he was having at the earlier part of the season. I'm not saying he'll no score, but I just think the way he plays now gives him less chance of scoring, and that's probably why he's not scored as many goals as the past few years. Although he scored the day, but he's going to find himself in goal scoring positions. But I just think he's a wee bit unselfish with his play now, which gives him less chance of scoring goals, and that's why you're not seeing the return in the numbers that you have done the previous years.
Aaron, does Morelos put fear in you from a Celtic point of view?
Nah. I'm going to say this and then he's going to score, isn't he? But I think Shankers is spot on though. I think that's one of the biggest differences in Rangers this year, that they're not relying so heavily on him, because he's, well, as you say, whether it be Gerrard has finally drummed into him that you need to create space for others, and it's not all about Alfredo, or he's maybe done it himself. It's more likely that Gerrard sort of said to him, because he's still throwing huffs when he's coming off no scoring. But he's never been a player who strikes fear into me. He's a good player. He's a very good football player. He's a dangerous player. But what he's doing this season is far better for the team as a unit, which is, I think, is probably the biggest difference with Rangers. There's less reliance on him. It's why you're seeing Roof, scoring as much as he is. It's why you're seeing the fullbacks getting goals in the midfield. Arfield's really benefited from it, because Arfield can go and get beyond him when Morelos drops in. So he doesn't strike a huge amount of fear into me, and that's not me just being a Celtic fan trying to take the mick out of him. I just think he's a decent striker, but I'm more worried about Aribo, for example. I think he's a better player. I think he's more dangerous. I think Kent's probably more dangerous, as we've seen in these games. Their players and their movement worry me more than Morelos does.
Wilson, Regan's asked a couple more questions. We'll give Regan a shout out as well. Check out his Only As Good As Your Last Game podcast, and you'll have a future appearance from me on it. But he's done some really good ones with Tam Cowan, Gordon Duncan. He's done a couple of good podcasts. So give him we shout out to Regan. We'll post a link in the description to check out his podcast. We asked another couple of questions though. Surely after another great performance today from Sorrow and Turnbull, they will start on Saturday ahead of Brown.
Well, we touched on it at the start. Aaron gave us like an in-depth analysis on it at the start, but as I say, I just can't see it. It'd be Brown for me. I think Sorrow could have scored a hat-trick today, and I still don't think he would play in front of Brown on Saturday.
We might go Sorrow and Brown. We might see a curveball.
And go 4-2-3-1?
Aye.
Then McGregor doesn't play, does he?
No, it'll be Sorrow, Brown and McGregor, I think, and then take Turnbull out. I just can't see.
I would play McGregor all day long. I would drop Christie.
Do you know the thing? I know we're going off track here slightly. McGregor in the last 3 games has looked so much better again because he's got that weight off his shoulders of having to carry Brown. And I know that sounds harsh, but he's not having to overcover Brown. He knows that Sorrow can go and has the legs to get across and cover. And it's just giving him that wee bit more freedom. So I think if you bring Brown back in, you change that whole dynamic and you see McGregor regress, you see Christie regress. Turnbull doesn't get the ball as often because Brown doesn't play it forward to him. So if he brings Brown in, he deserves everything he gets if Celtic go and lose the game.
Mm-hmm. Wilson, I'll bring you all in on this. This is the last question for Egan. We'll move on to a couple more. The goalkeeper dilemma for Celtic. Who starts for Celtic on Saturday? Barkas or Hazard? What would like your thoughts? I'll give that to Aaron first of all. What do you think? Obviously, Barkas came in today. I was puzzled when I heard Barkas was playing. Does that suggest he's playing on Saturday?
I think so. I think that's his cards on the table now to say Barkas will play on Saturday, which, see if he's not... Hazard wasn't great in the cup final, but made 2 penalty saves, got a lift, and then keeps clean sheets after that. So at what point is he decided that Barkas is now the one? And it might be that he brings Hazard back in, and in which case you're asking the question again, why take him out today? It makes no sense. So Barkas has got to be the goalie for Saturday now, which I think is probably harsh on Hazard based on the fact he's kept a couple of clean sheets in a row. And if Barkas was the goalie for this game, why is he not played against Ross County and Hamilton Accies? The whole thing doesn't make sense. It feels a bit like Lennon's got a tombola with 3 names in it and he just spins it and see who can do it.
Wilson, do you think that's far away for the truth though? Because that's what it seems like.
And again, as I say, Neil Lennon knows more about football than me slightly. But I think Scott Bain, to be honest, as I say, and that's why I said in my prediction that I think there's goals in it, because if a young boy Hazard plays, Rangers will be shooting for the halfway line, and if Barkas plays, they'll be shooting for the rain box. So as I say, I think Scott Bain's the only one that can possibly deal with the intensity of the game. Is such. Maybe he'll play. Maybe I'll just play in Hazard, then Barkas, then Bain, back to Hazard, Barkas, and Bain.
Bain's played in a game like these games before. He probably won Celtic the game at Ibrox with a couple of outstanding saves. I think they'd probably just maybe try to justify Barkas' price tag by playing him in a game like this, or just maybe no trusting. There's an old saying that about young boys in a big game like this, and he's maybe just thought, I know he's 22, but it's still relatively young for a goalkeeper to be playing. Maybe it's just that old one, kind of young boy in an old firm.
And I was just going to touch on that point when Aaron was talking about he's doing his analysis on players and things. Aaron, would you be able to invite Nicky Hammond onto your show to look at players? So far is nothing short of absolutely. So you could maybe help him on his way. Celtic could maybe sign John McGinn or somebody decent, Alan Barkas and Frimpong and all. Is
that the director of football?
He's a head of football operations.
Head of recruitment, I think.
Basically the recruitment guy. But
that's just an interesting one. You brought up something interesting there. See, did you do them at the start of the season? What was your did you read into Barkas before he signed that?
I didn't do it personally, but the guys did, and pretty much spot on with everything they said. Not a great shot stopper. Highlighted issues there. Good at coming for crosses, so you'll notice with Barkas he is good. He's got good handling. Not good at shot stopping, which we've seen. He's gave away goals. I think Milan. He's probably got Poppadom risk, but good at one-on-ones, and I've seen that today. Nicky Clark goes through one-on-one, he comes out, closes angle, does well. So, I mean, he's a Greek international. He's not as bad as people will have you believe, but he's no Fraser Foster, and I think that's
the problem, though.
Giving context to it, that's the problem. People are looking at Fraser Foster probably won us the league and the League Cup last year, but I can't remember a goalkeeper being that good all season. Even the Europa League, I mean, some of the saves against Lazio last year, the League Cup final, I've never seen a goalkeeping performance at that quality.
That one single-handedly won Celtic the League Cup.
So Barkas has come in at £5 million, and people are trying to compare him to what we've seen last year. So he was always doomed to fail. Now, he's not been as bad as some people have you believe. I don't think he should ever been taken out. If there's one thing about a goalie, is you let them play through it. If there's a wee bit of a sticky spell, you let them play their way out it. I don't know a successful football team who's used 3 goalies in a season, put it that way.
This goes back to my point, and as I say, I've criticised Neil Lennon on this show most weeks, poor guy. But why is Fraser Foster not there? He's performed at those high levels, as you say, in the Europa League, League Cup, and in the league. Why is he not there?
Tried to loan him again, didn't they? So the story goes that Celtic tried to do another loan deal, and Fraser Foster's at an age where he's wanting a 4-year contract to go and see probably the remainder of his career, and he's wanted a permanent move.
$1.5 million they signed Barkas for. Could they not have paid Fraser Foster that?
I don't disagree. I agree 100% with you, but I mean that's the story, and that's it. He's decided that I don't want to come up on loan again. I want to go permanent.
But there's a point.
Again, and to touch on that, every week we are going at the Celtic recruitment, and it's mainly around this goalkeeper situation. Celtic scouted Barkas for 2 seasons.
Yeah.
See if he wasn't the answer, then who signed off? Who ticked the box to say we want to pay £5 million for him? If it was Hammond.
Here's another point. I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm just looking there. Ivan Toney's playing for Brentford now. The past few weeks we've heard the rumours about Ivan Toney was offered to Celtic for $6.5 million. For $6.5 million, what would? Do you know what I mean? $5 million for a Yeti. Like, would you rather put the $6.5 million into Ivan Toney, who's now scoring every week for Brentford, or? You
would now. But I want to add context to that and say Ivan Toney was a League One player. So if they'd have spent £6.5 million on him, people would have criticised him until he done well. So it's very easy to look back retrospectively and say, oh, they should have done that. So I think personally I championed Toney in the summer because I liked what I seen, and I thought, well, Gary Hooper came for League One, but Gary Hooper cost £2 million, wasn't he? 6.5 plus the add-on.
John McGinn would have cost £2 million as well.
The John McGinn thing was I'm going to swear.
PR disaster.
That was a, Law and Rod Petrie problem. That wasn't the fact that Celtic didn't want to get him.
We'll move on. We've got a few more questions. Shankers, I want to ask you this as well. This is for Rab Hume. Is there anything in place in case the season has to end early or can't be finished? Do we think there is?
No. Sorry.
Oh.
I've heard they just awarded to last year's winners.
Wouldn't surprise me.
It's based on the winning record over the last 9 seasons.
That seems fair. End the league now.
You
find out the trophies from last year? Absolutely.
But we're seeing rising cases. If this does happen, they can't do it the same way they did it last season, because last season was an utter shambles the way they done it. There needs to be a plan in place if they were.
Right now, when you're asked, you think you've got to say, surely there's a plan in place. Like, does the season after this date, we do make this decision, or kind of like if the season was to stop now, there's too many games to play, like for it to be called, or you know what I mean? It's just, but what we have to look at is this isn't going away anytime soon. So it's not as if you go stop it now and we'll restart it in 2 months' time because it will all be gone. See, when the league title's decided, the chances are this is still going to be here. So it's almost it's not a nice thing I'm saying, but it's almost kind of deal with it and just kind of get on with it. Players, teams, managers, everybody's going to be affected by this at some point in the season, some worse than others. It's just they're going to have to try and stay as much in a bubble as they can because they're privileged footballers getting paid good money. They do it every day. I know they can't go to the supermarket or whatever, go to school and pick up their kids because they need to stay in this bubble. But it's just kind of, if they want to do, I presume every single one of them wants to play football full time. If they want to do it, they're just going to have to stick to the rules that there is in place now. But that's not really answering the question. But there has to be something in place.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I thought the reason for last year's ending the season and handing out the trophies was because over 3/4 of the games had been completed. So surely that would stand this season. So if the Celtic say get to 28 games, then it surely could be awarded the same as last year. I thought that was the kind of legislation on it, 75% of games played.
Oh, if say you get to that point and it does happen, I think it'll get played all the way through, but we're talking, if it gets to that point, the same thing has to happen. I'm not shouting for it because it's the worst way to win a league. No player wants to win it like under these circumstances, but they couldn't do it one year, no the other. Kind of thing, if you know what I'm saying.
But again,
it wouldn't surprise me.
It goes back to all, and this is what grates on me slightly, and it was the same. I know it's went to appeal, but St Mirren and Command losing points.
Yeah.
Yes, the guys are in a bubble, right? Now, I know they've played, it's different at Christmas because they play so many games. Surely Command against Motherwell could have happened on a Monday afternoon at 3 o'clock.
We were saying that, I know.
You can play any time in the week. Now,
they just played on a Wednesday at 3 o'clock today, so...
Exactly. So there's going to be several times in January and February where there's going to be no midweek games.
Mm-hmm.
So even my biggest concern is, I mean, I don't know, I don't involve in vaccines and things, but see if there is a break, let's just say, touchwood, something happens in February and they shut the football down. The longer they carry that on, I think it's a major impact on the national teams for the Euros again.
Oh,
because
possibly.
I mean, let's just say, for example, there's Christie, McGregor that are going to start for Scotland. Are they going to have to cram in 15, games in April and May and then go straight to the Euros? It's impossible.
No chance.
But as I say, I think if it goes to 75%, then, as I say, I thought that was the kind of ruling last year. So you just have to accept it this year. I think that's why cup competitions were played out getting into this season, because you can't just say, right, 4 semi-finals is a trophy each. I think it was based on the league. It's 75% games played.
Mm-hmm. I would just hope we can get the season finished. Aidan McLean asks, most important battles in the pitch on Saturday. Aaron, I'll come to you with
that. That midfield battle, isn't it? It's where it will probably be won and lost. So it'll be interesting. We've touched on it a few times now with Sorrow, Tumble, Brown, the Celtic conundrum. The Rangers midfield looks as though it's going to pick itself. So that's probably where it'll be won and lost, I would say.
Well, final question. I'll give this to Shankers. Who do you think will get relegated this season? We answered this on Sunday night, but we'll just clarify again who you had.
Who did I say? Hamilton?
Hamilton.
I think it was Hamilton.
I think it was Hamilton. You'll get Ross County above Kilmarnock.
No, Hamilton. They're no scoring goals and conceding goals. You can't be successful when you're doing that. Hamilton, Ross County will be a kind of toss up, but I'll say Hamilton's yet to get in.
Mm-hmm. And that is us. That's us going to wrap up for this episode. Thanks very much again to Aaron for coming on. It's been a pleasure to have you the past 2 episodes.
Thanks, guys. Enjoyed it.
Brilliant. Shankers and Wilson, pleasure as always.
Thanks, Scott.
Pleasure's mine.
Brilliant. And we will be back on Sunday with the review of the Old Firm game, and keep an eye on social media. I'm sure the 4 of us will be very involved in the next few days too. So please keep an eye on that. Thanks very much, everyone. We'll see you next week. Cheers.